Hi, I'm Cricket Barrientos. I'm the founder of Sounds of Autism, and today you're with James from Canada, and we are talking about the invisible ability, discussions from Canada. So James, hi, nice to meet you. Welcome.
Hi, Cricket. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you.
So James, I know that autism is a huge part of your life, and just over the last few years, you've been diagnosed as an adult. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was diagnosed back in October 2017. I'm in my 40s when I was diagnosed, so uh, it was something that was brought on in essence. My ex-wife thought our daughter was on the spectrum, so we were wanting to get her, sort of evaluated and tested and that sort of thing. So when we went to Alberta Health Services, it was going to cost about $3,500 to get her assessed, unless there was a genetic marker. Now, my ex-wife believed that I was on the spectrum for years, but myself, I didn't. Um, I was brought up in a generation where mental illness and mental disabilities were sort of not, um, I guess, promoted or really recognized or something that was really firmly accepted. So I had that expectation of if I had a disability, there was something wrong with me. But at the point when it was about our daughter, I was like, of course, like I was going to get diagnosed for her. Um, so I found one gentleman here, or sorry, one psychiatrist here in Calgary, who did the assessments for free. I was lucky I got in on a cancellation because he's booked up. So right now he's booked up for 2 years. He's the only one in Calgary who does it because he's a general practitioner. He does it at no cost. There's other psychiatrists and people that do it here, but as I said, the cost is rather prohibitive for a lot of people. So that's how it all got started. So I did probably 5 sessions with him, a couple hours apiece. He gave me the initial test. We went over the test results, and after 5 sessions with him, I was confirmed diagnosed with what used to be called Asperger's.
Yeah.
I've got a high IQ, 161. I'm highly functioning, and a lot of it, like when I got diagnosed, I had just taken a job out of town, so I was working out of town about a month after I got diagnosed. So I found, initially I was lucky. I found a good therapist in Winnipeg uh, because obviously this was all new to me. But as the doctor here, in when I was going through the diagnosis stages in each session, a lot of things made sense. Like for example, my wife is very emotional, so she was emotionally expressive. She would cry and be upset, and I would have absolutely no reaction to it. I would sit there and go, okay, let's get this done, let's get this over with, so I can solve the problem and move on. It's like I like to joke on being mad to the nth degree because a lot of people joke that men are insensitive at the best of times when it comes to emotional things. But it didn't affect me. I didn't cry. I didn't get upset. A few times she would say, "James, are you just a jerk, or is there something wrong with you?" And the thing was is that, and my work life, my friends, I was all liked. I wasn't, I always had what I thought good relationships with people at work or friends or whatever else. And everyone liked me. So I was like, I thought she was, honestly, I don't know, like, why are you the only one that's saying there's something, different or whatever else about me? But as I went through the diagnosis process, a lot of things made sense. Why I didn't cry, why I didn't get upset at things, why, certain things didn't feel like I didn't get certain things. I would hang on long times in a conversation just talking, not recognizing some social cues and stuff. So a lot of things made sense. And what the doctor here in Calgary had said is that because my wife and I had attended counseling and therapy and all those other sort of things. What he told me was that I was smart enough to answer the questions the way I knew they needed to be answered, to not bring any red flags or indications or anything else. And even, when with my daughter, like same sort of thing, she's high functioning as well. You can't tell her teachers, she's just quiet, she's just shy. She had some friends, but she always had difficulty making those social connections, even from a younger age. And my wife recognized that, but to my own detriment. Again, I didn't recognize that. I didn't want to think that there was something different about my daughter, or whatever else. I thought the same thing. She's just shy, she's just quiet. Which my regret to this day is that I didn't get diagnosed sooner, or I didn't recognize it, or I didn't listen to my wife, because it would have made a huge difference to her, like to my daughter, if she was diagnosed at a younger age, because we could have gotten her into more programs, or it helped with her development, because she got diagnosed after I did, and she was in her mid-teens at the time. So again, it's difficult to get the proper help here once you're at that age, because they're already trying to transition you into other adult programs and things like that. So when I first started going to therapy myself, it took probably at least 6 months, because when I first went to see my therapist, I thought I needed to be fixed. It took me 6 months of her saying, "No, you're just wired differently. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to be fixed." But that sort of had been instilled in me, like, growing up and everything else, expectations of someone with a mental disability. I hate to use that word, but that's sort of how it's phrased. I had that stigma. There was something wrong with me because I wasn't, quote unquote, normal.
So James, can I interrupt real quick? The diagnosis, like when you got it, did that help? Like, did that help you? Because now some of the things looking back, like at your whole life, do you feel like those things that you might have thought, wow, I don't know why I do this, or did you not even realize that there were things that you did differently compared to other people? Like, were you even aware of those things?
Well, not as my life was going through it, but as I said, once I got diagnosed, I'm always a thinker. I think through things. And looking back, yeah, well, most definitely. As I said, I did things to fit in, to blend in. At work, I was overly nice because confrontational situations gave me high anxiety, so I did whatever I could to avoid it. Like at work or in my personal relationship, like again, my expectations, sort of were from an early age. I was always smart in school. I was good in school, so I had that family and those are friend expectations, to go to university, get a certain type of job, provide for my family. That's sort of what I thought, a husband and a father was just providing financial stuff. And that's what I always did. I put a lot of time into that. Like, I didn't miss, dance recitals or whatever else, but I was always, working was first because that was my job. That was my role. That's what I had to do. And when, my wife and I separated, that's all she told me was that we wanted you there emotionally.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be that way. And I was like, didn't know why. Like, why don't I feel? Why didn't I make that connection? And that's, it was devastating to me that's, I compromised my family for work because I wanted to be accepted at work or in society and do what was supposed to be what I was supposed to be doing. And as time's gone on, I've actually found like when I moved back from Winnipeg to here, it's taken me over 2 years to find a therapist that is neurodiverse herself and can actually understand what I'm going through. Like, joke is, when you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person, because we're all a little different, but having that sort of similar mind, so she can understand what I'm, doing and what I'm trying to process and how I process things. Now, it's something that I analyze it too much. I think about it, and I did things and made poor choices that hurt my wife and daughter. Like
And
I work.
I was going to say, James, it's not because you don't have feelings, because you absolutely do. It's just that you're, like the way that you respond to things is just different. And sometimes, I see that with our son Landon. It's the same exact thing. Like he just when my dad passed, he didn't know how to be emotional. He didn't understand why people were emotional about it. He's like, that's part of life cycle, like just really matter of fact, literal, versus the emotional side of things. So we had to really work with him on emotions, especially when he got a little bit older, because he lacked it, so he didn't release it. And because of that, sometimes there were things happening that really affected his life. So, I always say that with Landon, our son, and his autism, he has all these like black boxes inside of his body, just like most people. And the difference is his are all locked, and it's my job as a parent to unlock them. And so we really kind of start working on it. And a lot of times we'll unlock boxes that we didn't even know were locked, not realizing and never getting to that one that we're working on, but you end up hitting so many more. And I feel like, once those are unlocked, it's almost like when you open like your favorite gift in your birthday party and you want to just go play and forget about everybody that's at the party. It's kind of the same thing. And so he'll get this unlocked, and then it's almost like you have to work with him on pulling and honing in that emotion, because now it's like so emotional, or if it's real low, and so you have to kind of work on the balance of that. And I guess my question to you would be, because there's a lot of people in this world who probably live with Asperger's, which now they just identify as autism on a different part of the spectrum. Would you encourage, or do you encourage others to, if they're feeling like maybe they're showing signs of autism, do you encourage them to get the diagnosis more so just for a peace of mind than anything else? Like, what would you say to the audience that's watching us about this, especially those that think that maybe they have this same kind of thing going on? What would you say to them?
Well, it could save a relationship. Like for me, by the time I diagnosed, things had already digressed in my relationship. Even though it explained things and explained my behavior, it doesn't excuse how I was behaving. It sort of explained some of the things, but I had already alienated my wife and my daughter because I didn't know how to process things. My therapist said that I spent all my emotional energy at work, and by the time I was home, I had no capacity for them. So anything that was highly emotional or difficult, I would avoid talking about. I would lie to get out of situations that made me feel uncomfortable. And it devastated my daughter because I was hurting her mom. I was hurting her. I was doing things to avoid, like, I was physically there. As I said, I didn't, mix soccer practices or dance. I was physically there, but emotionally I wasn't making the connection with her. That's one of the things, that my daughter and I, it's difficult. Like I remember trying to teach her math, and her superpower is art and doing art stuff. Mine is math. And so we never could get on the same page. And I never understood why. Like to me, it was like 2 + 2 is 4. Why can't you get that sort of thing? And just the way our minds work. That's one of the reasons, is that she can't handle me right now. She's dealing with her own, trying to get herself acknowledging and comfortable with and figuring out things for herself. She can't handle me, and it hurts very real for her. And what I would tell anyone, if you think you have, just go do it. It could save your marriage, your job, But for me, it started me on a new journey of self-discovery and trying to figure things out, because I want to feel, I was watching a podcast a little while back, and this one actor was saying how his mom was a therapist, and he came home one day, told her something had happened at school, and he got upset by it. And she said, "Well, if you weren't upset by that, you're not normal." And I thought to myself, well, that's not right. Like I don't feel I have what my therapist. I have alexithymia, so there again, I experience real emotion less. Well, I'm working on it at the time, like 5% of the time. And when that was said, like that's not right. Like I don't feel it. I understand it. I understand it's a bad thing. Like say your dog dies, or when you mentioned, like I had a friend who committed suicide in high school. There again, I didn't cry, I didn't anything else, but I understood, the thing. But I was like, well, why would he do that? Not that I think, but I would feel at times like a bad person because I didn't cry. And I'd explained all that sort of behavior. When my wife would cry and be upset, or when my daughter would be upset, and I didn't react to it. I understand that. Not that makes it any easier on the people in your life, but again, if I would have got diagnosed 20 years ago, that might set the parameters or set expectations that I don't get that. So you'll have to explain that emotion to me, or I could have started working on myself earlier. But more importantly, my daughter could have gotten diagnosed earlier and gotten better support, and it would have made her life better. And that's my biggest regret of not getting diagnosed earlier.
I think we phrased this the invisible ability with the title, and we did that because it really is an ability. I mean, you have a high IQ. Most people that are autistic do have some type of obsession, like they're really obsessed with something and they learned everything about that thing that they're obsessed with. My son is animals. He knows everything about animals. He just can't get enough of it in his brain. And he becomes very oversensory. He does a lot of stimming where he flaps his arms and paces back and forth to just overcome some of this stress and anxiety that is occurring because of his obsession. So the invisible ability, we said it because we have, so many people in this population that have the ability to do some amazing things, but people miss those things because either we don't talk about it, we don't know, or we're just, we don't want that stigma. So we don't announce that to people. And I think that's really something that hopefully with our show, we'll be able to really kind of hone in on and get people to see that this is a population that if they are, whether it's working or living or, around these people, that they have a lot of things that are just unique about life that we don't see normally. And so for me, I'm so inquisitive. Like I want to know more and I really want to understand. And, sometimes I even get frustrated because I'm like, oh my God, Landon can learn those things so fast. And it takes me forever to even try to do something like that. So you're from Canada. We're here in the US, and we're excited to be able to start sharing what we're doing in the United States, in Arizona specifically right now. And I know your family came back and forth between here and Canada to live a little bit, and we're both hockey fans. But I definitely want to talk to you the next time around. I think we need to talk about the day you were diagnosed, what things changed. What did you change about the way you did life? And, just really inform people, because I really believe that what you're doing and what you did is a huge step, and especially when you had to figure it out on your own. And so I appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you till next time. So thank you, James, for joining us today on the Invisible Ability Discussions from Canada.
Thanks, Kirk. I look forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you.
Take care.